Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 61 of the Parenting Autism Podcast with Chris and Sandy Coulter. If you want to reach us, you can visit our website at www.parentingautismshow.com, or you can reach us by email at parentingautism@att.net. That's how you can find us, and here we are today. How you doing, babe?
I'm doing fantastic.
Good. So, it's been a week. We're going to see if our recording
equipment
is working well.
Going to cooperate. Yep.
So we'll see. We've prayed over it. You've worked hard. Thank you so much. And hopefully this one will go out without a hitch. We have had quite a week. I will say that on a positive note, a very positive note, we haven't had really any significant behavior issues. So let's give a shout out to Bryce.
Yay.
Way to go,
Thank you, Bryce.
But we have had our sleep interrupted a couple times this week, and so we've been dragging a little, but all good. Bryce somehow picked up some type of little belly bug, and woke us up at 5:30 in the morning with tummy pains.
And I was surprised because that's quite a bit of time after he ate his last meal, so
yeah,
I don't know what it was, but it only lasted like from 5:30 to 7:30.
Few hours, several rounds of sickness. And the irony of that is you were trying to explain that to him because thankfully that's only the second time in 7 years that he's been ill because of a stomach bug, which is pretty amazing.
Yeah.
And you were telling him how food does an illegal U-turn and can come up and out of his mouth, right? Wasn't that a conversation you recently had?
Like a couple of weeks ago, he's like, what do you do? Why do you get tummy aches? I said, well, sometimes you get tummy aches because you eat too much food. And then I went into my tummy voice.
Yes.
And I said, your tummy says, oh, no, we have too much food in here. We must do a legal U-turn and send it back. And,
that's what it was.
He was just dying laughing at that. And so that progressed over a few nights, so he had the gist of it. But, poor kid, he wakes up and he's got to throw up, and he didn't make it to the bathroom, unfortunately, at first.
It wasn't fun and pretty, but we got him through it. And at least you had that conversation with him. So he has been asking us now, why did my food do an illegal U-turn?
Yes.
We really don't know, buddy. Yeah. Sometimes bugs or germets, as he calls them, come in and it happens. But that was good. And then he had another incident that woke us up. But we got some energy going. It's been a good week. And I have two highlights from this week. And we're going to bring Bryce in to talk about one of them, but we took him to our county fair, which we had mentioned in the last podcast that we were going to do. But hands down, one of the most fantastic nights we've had out as a family in a really long time. And he did well at the fair last year, but this year he rode new rides. He had I can't say he had no fears because he really did. His fear was the balloon game that people throw darts. Yeah. It froze him in his tracks.
Because the balloons pop, and he still has an issue with that.
He still has that, but he'll ride a ride that goes around like an adult-size ride.
I almost lost my lunch on that one.
Yeah, me too. I had to close my, oh my goodness. So you and I wimped out. We only did one ride each with him on the stomach turning ones. But he went by himself. Loved it and wanted to do it some more. So next year we're like, hey, I think he's good and we'll get him a friend that also likes to ride the rides.
Yeah.
And it was just so encouraging. It felt victorious to me.
Yeah, that's a good word for it.
All this work that we've put in to help prepare him. And we even prepared him for the carnival fair. He was familiar with it, but we had let him get that app with the new ride so he could kind of visually see what to expect. He has zero fear of heights. So, I mean, the Ferris wheel is one of his favorites, but this year he was able to tell me why the Ferris wheel was his favorite. And he said it's because of the gears and he likes watching how everything works. And that's very cool. Yeah. And he loves also being up high and being able to look down and then kind of figure out what else he wants to do and what other rides there are to do. And
leading really up to the fair, I think he was concerned about the roller coaster at the fair, but he wasn't sure how to describe his fear. And so he was asking me if it was like, did it go loop-de-loops? I'm like, no, it doesn't do loop-de-loops. And he said, well, what's it like? I said, well, I'm not really sure, but it's probably short. It doesn't do any loop-de-loops, and we'll find out when we get there, because I really didn't know exactly what kind of roller coaster they were going to have. And I told him, I said, when we go there and we look at the roller coaster, you can say one of two things. You can say, I would like to ride the roller coaster, or I would not like to ride the roller coaster. And so he thought long and hard about that. And so the week leading up to the fair, he kept saying, I want to ride the roller coaster. It's like he was talking himself into it. Aww. And we weren't even there yet. So it just worked out great.
It did. And I think one of his biggest issues that he had before when we did a roller coaster a couple years ago was the sound was so loud. So we took his headphones this year, and he wanted to wear his headphones exclusively
just for the roller coaster. Yeah.
It gave him the sense of comfort that he needed for that. And you know what? It is rickety loud.
Yeah, clackety clack.
Clickety clack clack. Yeah. So for him, that worked.
And he didn't need the headphones for anything else.
Nope. He would take them off when he got off, and he was good. And he wanted them on when he was there, and it was beautiful.
They had a petting zoo when we walked in.
Yeah.
And we've been debating back and forth off show about taking him to the zoo, because we weren't sure if he was ready for the zoo. The last time we took him anywhere with animals,
minimal to no
just
interest.
Like, what are we doing here? So we took him into the little petting barn there, and they had a lot of different kind of animals. They had goats, they had cows,
they had
a camel, llamas.
Yeah.
The
baby goats are so cute.
Yeah, a lot of different
animals. They had a
lot
of different animals.
In a small area. So it was like, you could just walk right. It wasn't like a zoo. I mean, if you saw a camel at a zoo, it would be at least 20 feet away from
you.
And the camel was like right there. And I asked him later, I said, what was your favorite animal in the petting zoo? He said the camel.
Oh, he did?
And I'm like, oh. I said, why was it the camel? He says, because he has a long face.
Oh, yeah, that's so cute that that's his reason.
I thought, oh, that's so cool. I forgot to tell you.
Yeah, that's why we do this podcast, because then you remember to tell me things. It's awesome.
Up. Yeah, so, but he was very interactive with the animals, and some nice lady gave him a couple of carrots to feed to the goats, and he just loved that.
He was feeding a calf with that, a baby cow calf.
Oh, okay.
And that tongue was so long and coming out.
Yeah.
But I told him, I said, that cow's like you. She's just trying to, you know how he likes to touch the food with his tongue if it's something new before he puts it in? Yeah, she's just being like you. She wants to make sure she likes it before she puts it in there.
Was great.
So he did great with that. And I think
here he comes.
Oh, yeah.
What's up, buddy? What's wrong?
There's an emergency.
What is it?
Something's wrong with the kitchen.
Oh, on your game? Something's wrong with the kitchen?
Okay.
All right.
The engine.
Well, thanks for telling us.
I need to, Mommy.
Okay, we'll pause.
Take a look at it.
So the other day, I burned a ham steak in the oven. Did I talk about that before?
Actually, you talked about that on one that didn't record. So go ahead and share the story.
Yeah. So I had a ham steak in the oven with the broiler, and he was in the shower. And sometimes he calls me into the shower for whatever reason. And I ran in there to help him really quick. And, of course, I forgot the ham was in the broiler. And I come back, and there's, like, smoke coming out. Like, it wasn't burned. It was just, like, cooking a lot. And there was smoke, and the fire alarm went off. And he covered his ears, and he kind of freaked out because it's been a long time since
Didn't you say he ran out the front door?
Yeah, so he had his underwear.
Yeah, because he's fresh out of the shower.
And he went out the front door. I was like, no, come back in. You can't run outside. But Daddy, the alarm. I was like, okay, well, just go back through and go out the back door. So he's like covering his ears, and he's running through the house, and he goes out the back door, and then he wants to close the back door because of the
Right.
the noise, sounds, right? I'm like, no, I can't close the back door. I said, we got to let the smoke out. So it was just crazy.
Sounded like a circus.
Yeah. But so I'm going to pause here and
get him back to the
we don't need that in the background,
room.
Right?
Sounds good.
Hang on. Okay, we're back, and we got him squared away. What's next on our list?
Well, I was going to kind of segue from what you're talking about with the animals at the fair to my other highlight of this week, which was going to his equine therapy today.
Oh, yeah.
So today is Saturday. Normally, Bryce has his equine therapy with the horses on Tuesday morning, so I'm not able to go, rule of thumb. And so it's been a while since I've seen him actually in the saddle and on the horse. And the last time I went was probably the first or second time that he had gone up in the saddle. And he was very scared to do it, but they were able to do that. So today when I went, he was just chock full of confidence.
Oh, yeah.
And I got to see all the progression and all that he gets to do. And he was excited to show me what all he gets to do when he's there. You know, it began with the grooming of Rio. And this is a large race horse. He's a retired racehorse. So, you know,
he's big.
It could be intimidating.
Over, Bryce.
But I think the reason why Bryce is doing so much better with these animals at petting zoos is because he has no fear now, having been around the animals at the ranch. So anyway, it was fabulous to see him just doing all of that and being on the horse. And she plays Simon Says with him and has him like put his hands up in the air and touch his nose and all these different things that really just works on his balance. And he has great balance on the horse, which is fantastic. She's so professional with him, like just watching. Her name is Miss Christie, and I just have to just say how much we love her. And I actually got emotional, and I wasn't expecting that to happen, but her love for him just comes out when she's with him. And, you know, when I see somebody loving on my boy like that, and just, you know, she's making sure that he's safe. She's making sure that he's comfortable and that he's emotionally comfortable. And she really tries to speak in his terms and things that are interesting to him. She puts so much thought and effort into each child, and that includes Bryce. She was trying to tell him to stand up out of his saddle. And she wanted it to do it like bigger and then smaller. So she knows he likes the planets in the solar system. So she's like, well, pretend that you're launching out to the moon, and that's far away. So he went way up out of the saddle and then came back down. And then she goes, now let's pretend that you're launching to Mars. Well, then she had it backwards. So then she's like, wait a minute, Mars is further away. Hold on. I said, he'll call you out on it. So she corrected it. So anyway, so first he did the big one to the Mars, and then he followed her instructions. When she said it, he knew what she wanted, and she was so excited that he understood what she was wanting. And then when it was the moon, she's like, not as far away this time. And then he just did a little bump out of the saddle and then back down. And it was just really cool to watch all of that.
Yeah.
And just know that he can go there every week. And I see how it's helped his anxiety, built his confidence, and lots of things. But then I also saw, you know, again, when he's outside of our bubble of our house, I also see his disabilities magnified. I mean, I love to see his abilities magnified. That makes my heart sore. But I also can see that he has disabilities. And one of those that's really been jumping out at me lately is his difficulty with eye contact. So I don't know if that's just getting worse or if I am just more aware of it when he's around other people. But he really struggled today looking anybody in the eyes. So today she happened to have 2 new volunteers that are new to him because we went on a Saturday instead of a Tuesday. So he didn't have Miss Sarah, who he normally has. And so Christy was trying to get him to tell them thank you and to even look at them. And it was really hard for him to look at them, to make that eye contact. It's a real struggle for him. And again, I think I'm just more aware of it because I know he does make some eye contact with us a lot more than he does anybody else. Mm-hmm. It's still hard for us sometimes to get him to look at us, but...
Well, we're not really out in public a lot to really notice that,
I know, that's what I'm saying. So like today was magnified because I was outside of the bubble, Mm-hmm. But I know that's something like we've been working on when we know we're going to be meeting somebody and when we can look them in the eye and say hi and stuff. But anyway, it's still, the whole thing just warmed my heart. And again, that's why he has these opportunities, is so that he can meet different people and learn to interact with them. And the young man who was volunteer day, I think he's a high school student because I think she has a lot of high school because they get credits for their high school. But anyway, he was wearing a cowboy hat. So Bryce was just like, "Are you a real cowboy?" It was really funny. And he was kind of stuck on that. So a few times he was asking, "Are you a real cowboy? Are you a cowboy?" But it's really cute. Just on his
poor
awareness.
Grace, there's no filter on Bryce. So Grace had braces on, and Bryce comes up to her and he's like, You have missing teeth.
It looks like you have missing teeth.
He says, "Hey, you have missing teeth."
Is that how he said it?
Oh, my heart just dropped. I'm like, oh my goodness, does she have missing teeth?
Did you really?
I didn't know. I hadn't really looked at it, right? So, fortunately, it was just braces, and we explained it all. So, and she was totally cool with it.
She was, and her smile looks really nice. It looks like they're about to come off. Yeah. Well, and we had that also at the fair. He's very inquisitive, and we're going to run into this and. The lady who was checking us into the fair, she had brown skin. So Bryce says, "Hey, what color is your skin?" But she says, "It's brown." He says, "Okay." And then he started to leave.
Going to leave.
And
that's all I wanted to know.
Can you come back? And do you have any other questions? And I think he wanted to know about the monster truck. And then I said, "Tell her to have a nice night." He goes, "Have a nice night." And then he was excited. "I told her to have a nice night." I'm like, "Yes, you did." And really, Bryce, I think, and then you're like, "I have to tell you something about that." I'm like, "Well, I'm very curious. What prompted that?" But he has one of his speech pathologists, his therapist, and she has brown skin. So she's been, he's just, I don't know how it came up in their conversation, but somehow it did. But I know that it was just a few weeks ago, probably about a month ago, that he and I were home, and he said to me, "What color is my skin?" Out of the blue, he asked me that. And I said, "Well, people say that it's white, although it's not really white like the crayon, but it's considered white." And then I said, "Well, when you look at your skin, what do you see?" And he said, "I just see skin." I said, "Perfect. That's all you need to see." I was just curious. And when I was saying it, I really meant, "What color do you see?" But I just said, "What do you see?" And he said, "I just see skin." I said, "Perfect. That's all you need to see." But, it's fine that he asked that. And I just said to the lady, I said, "He's just learning to understand the world." She goes, "It's not a problem." And that really is it. I mean, he will ask people, "Are you really a girl?"
Right.
"Are you really a boy?" I mean, we're hearing that too, especially if somebody has a man bun, it confuses him. He's learning. He's learning about the world. So
he is. And at the fair, you're talking about the fair. So I had his Patience Please shirt on for the fair. So
we did.
If anything were to go awry, people would know.
Yeah, I didn't know she could see his shirt because
I don't think so, because he was so small.
Exactly. So I thought I would just try to, but she was totally cool with it, which is good.
Yeah.
But anyway. So we've had a really good week with some highlights in that way, and surprisingly, and my dad, I just want to say he's doing so good, which I think that's probably why my happy meter is so high this afternoon. It's my mom and dad's 56th wedding anniversary today, and I haven't gone into great details, but my dad, he's had a really rough year, and he had some health problems that were mounting before he even had his stroke at the end of June, and then he's had gallbladder surgery and cataract surgeries and all kinds of stuff and cancer scare. And it's been tough. And he's had a hard time recovering. Yeah. But he had such a great week. And today you could tell his confidence is like coming back, and his joy. And Mom said, I'm letting him do some things around the house by himself now. he can get out of the tub by himself now, which is
great.
A big deal.
I didn't hear her say that.
Yeah, and
good.
So it's like his confidence is coming back, and he had her come. He's like, "Where's my cough drops, Mary Lou?" And she's going over to look for him, and look. He goes, "Are they back here?" Because he wanted her to bend over, and then when she bent over, he goes, "I just wanted to give you a kiss," and he gave her a kiss, and I'm like, "He's back," and. They were going out to dinner tonight, which is a super big deal.
He hasn't,
Oh, my gosh.
He hasn't been able to do
He didn't even have an appetite for so long, and then to have the strength. So I just want to give God praise for raising him up and giving us all such hope and joy seeing my dad get better. So it's been good. So the other things that I was going to talk about is I got some projects that I'm working on, and one of them is the Cub Scout project. Mm-hmm. And so this week we had the lady that represents CARD come over, and she's from the Center of, what does it stand for?
Center for Autism and Related Disabilities.
Thank you. I didn't want to mess that up. But anyway, so she came over to meet with me, and she brought me 8 different books to help me on this project, which was a little overwhelming and mind-blowing for me. No, I really appreciate all the resources, but I'm the type that when a bunch of stuff piles up on my desk, I feel a little overwhelmed. And I've got it all on my desk because I want to work on this project. But she was great. She gave another resource that they had put together about peer sensitivity. So I'm going to be working on this project with my goal of, in the month of April being, Autism Awareness Month, to work with our troop on helping them with peer sensitivity when it comes to children that are different, and scouts that are different, and just people in the world in general that are different. And then you had reached out to
somebody from council.
Yeah, again, I don't know all these terms.
And they provided me with a couple of links and a couple of activities, I guess you could say, for...
well, I read that. It's for the older kids. Apparently, they earn awards.
Badge.
Yeah, badges for these things.
Mm-hmm, but she said we could also use it for the younger kids.
Great.
Yeah, so we'll check it out. We don't want to reinvent the wheel, but we'll use whatever they have and put it together.
Well, I just want to make sure the wheel's being used. Because that's my main thing,
Right, because we haven't seen it used at our level yet.
No, we haven't. So that's something that I'm working on. And then when I do put it all together, if it turns out well, then I will share it on our resources, because I think I would love to see whatever we're doing be able to help other families too. Mm-hmm. That's the end goal, is that it's not just all about us, but it's to help one, a win for one is a win for all. I hope it can help everybody. But even more important than the peer sensitivity project, God has really been laying on my heart that I need to figure out a way to help Bryce understand the Bible better.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I kind of wanted to talk about that in depth today and get your
because it's
take
one of,
on that.
With homeschool, we want it to be one of our core subjects. And I can say from teaching him, there's a balance of how much does he understand of the world and ideas, and, how much of the Bible can I tell him without confusing him? There's a lot of stories in the Bible, and some of them are adult-oriented, and some of them you can tell to children, and, can he grasp the concepts?
Yeah, and I think because you're homeschooling him and you see his style of learning, I will be relying on you to give me insight for that. Mm-hmm. But I will tell you my perspective, just as not as a teacher, but as his mommy, is we've been taking him to church since he was a baby. And we've had him in the classes. And, you can kind of tell when the kids, age 2, you just get them to color paper pretty much. Age 3, you hope they start to understand some stuff, but normally they don't. Age 4 is normally where you can start getting into more of the stories, trying to get them to memorize verses. And then by age 5, it's like school age. So, you hope that they can really start to grasp and apply some of these lessons. And then age 6, and we're up to 7. So in our church, they have the buddy system, which has been wonderful. And I just have to say, we have not been in church much at all in the past
COVID,
year because of COVID. And we went back briefly, but then the spike happened again. And so we've been doing it from home, kind of like home churching, homeschooling, all of that. But that's given me time to reflect on what's going to be there when we go back. Because what my observation was, again, I want to give big props to the churches that have at least recognized that there needs to be something different done for the children with special needs in those families. Because a lot of people can't go to church at all because their child can't sit still in a sermon.
Right.
Or maybe they do have a difficult time because of sensory reasons, if nothing else, sitting in a regular classroom with the other kids. So I know, like with Bryce, we've had problems in the past with the music being too loud. I think, it's kind of like a one-size-fits-all for the lessons, and you either learn the way that they present it or you don't learn at all, which, again, is like school.
Yeah.
But I would like to see something that is more flexible and something that is going to form to Bryce's needs.
Yeah, I could see what they offer at our church for kids, grade school kids, is definitely for neurotypical kids. And I suspect that if they don't learn the whole lesson, they will pick up on nuggets, and the music is loud. There's a lot of energy in the room, and Bryce, he just tuned the whole thing out, basically, and he didn't really learn anything. So that's why we know that he needs that one-on-one. He needs a quieter setting to where he can focus.
Right. And so we had that conversation with the person who oversees the buddies and that ministry. And Bryce's buddy that he had before, he had her for over a year. Her name was Miss Debbie. She was fabulous with him. And I remember when I asked him what his favorite thing about church was, and this is when they first started the buddy ministry, he told me the sand, because they had kinetic sand. And when I told her that, she's like, oh, no, not on my watch. I want him to say his favorite thing is that he's learning about God and Jesus. I'm like, well, I would personally really like him to be learning something too. I don't want it to just be childcare for him. I would love for him to be getting something out of it. So she was really great and diligent about getting him to work with him on his verses. And Bryce does have, a very good memory, but he really didn't understand what he was memorizing. And that's okay. I mean, again, this is where he was like 4 and 5 years old. I feel in the past year, his mind has opened up so much more than a year ago when he was in church. And again, I want to just explain that while the buddy ministry has been wonderful, it really did serve more as having an adult to accompany the kids with the special needs, to take them into the regular classroom, see how they did, and then if they couldn't handle it, they had an designated adult to take them back to the quiet space. And I think that's kind of what it was designed for, which again, that's great when Bryce really was more in his own world, but now he's trying to learn about our world. And I know that because he's constantly asking us questions. Every day, every night, we get peppered with questions because he wants to learn more. So if his mind is ready to learn, this is really the first time he's been ready to learn, then I want to find a way that we can teach him that he's going to understand it. But there are challenges that come with that. And I already know some of those out the gate. Is Bryce is a very concrete thinker. And once you tell him something, he takes that for what it is, and he doesn't forget it. So it's hard to go back and change it once you've told him what that is.
Right. If XYZ had the wrong effect on him, like...
Well, let's give an example here. We can do it. So Bryce was asking I don't know, we were laying in bed one night and Bryce started asking something, and I think we were talking about, because we're trying to start with the basics of teaching him good and bad, and he understands red choices and green choices, and I'm trying to tell him, so he gets familiar with the term that red choices are sins, and God doesn't like it when we make red choices. And, and I really didn't want it to all be about Santa Claus because, Santa wants you to be good too. And I'm like, no, we don't want to really mix the two up too much. So he was asking about that. Well, you kick Santa out. And I even said, okay, I don't want to make this all about Santa. So you're like, okay. And so then you told him, if you make red choices, you go to the lake of fire. Okay. Now you picture a literal child thinking a lake of fire. So now he's like, if I make red choices, will my skin melt? Will my face burn? Will my hair catch on fire? I mean, these questions are still coming months later.
That was pretty much a guy answer.
Yeah. That one, you were like, I was on the spot. I'm like, I know, but dude, lake of fire,
That's what the Bible says.
He even asked me the other day, what about the lake of lava, Mommy? I'm like, the lake of lava? You mean a volcano? Well, where is the lake of lava where the bad people go? I'm the lake of fire? Yeah, let's not think about that because it's bedtime.
Yeah.
I'm like, let's think about heaven. Let's think about all the great things in heaven. I said, do you want to go to heaven? Yes. He goes, I bet there's lots of games in heaven. I bet there's 1,000 games in heaven. I said, I bet there are. He goes, I'm going to ask God about the games.
Oh,
I said, yeah,
awesome.
That would be great. We'll ask him about the games and we can play up there. But we're not going to go yet. Okay, so we have lots of games to play here before we go to heaven. And he said, when do I go to heaven? And we've just decided to tell him at 100. So I said, well, you'll go when you're 100 and you're only 7. So don't worry about it. You won't be going for another 93 years. And he goes, 93 years.
Oh, boy.
So, because I don't want him to be, and he's a worrier. So I don't want him to be worrying about people getting older. And, he can do math. He's already figured out we're older than him. So I don't want him to be worrying about that we're going to be leaving him because he always gets panicked about he calls it lost if he thinks we're not going to be with him. So that's what I'm talking about. It's very delicate what we teach him, how we teach him. And then I was thinking about, well, what do I teach him? How do I teach him? Where do I teach him? But what do I really want him to get out of it? So I was sharing that with you. And I said, well, I'm in serious prayer about this because I really want it to be inspired from God, not from me. But we were reading Noah's Ark. And so I really don't want him focusing on the flood because that could scare him.
Yeah.
He already has issues with rain. So the thought of flood and people dying, and no, we don't need to drill that home. The animals is fun. A big boat, that's great. But what do I really want him to get out of that story? I want him to get the message to me for him is that God doesn't break his promises. And God gave us a rainbow at the end of the flood to tell us that he wouldn't make that much water again, to put it in his terms. It wouldn't rain 40 days and 40 nights again. And God keeps that promise. So I want you to keep your promises. If you tell somebody you're going to do something and you say, I promise, because he will tell us that, then you understand when you say that, you have to follow through and do whatever it is that you promise. I think that's a great character trait, and I want to teach him character. I want to teach him manners. I want to teach him to be a great human being. And I want to use the Bible and the stories and the resources of the Bible to teach those things to Bryce. And I believe he is definitely capable of learning now and understanding a lot because I see him learning and understanding about a lot of things. But I also see how we have to be extremely delicate as to how we present it, be very specific, and be repetitive because he doesn't get things just one time. So I want to come at this from different angles. So I'm excited because I'm going to include music in this as well, but music that is going to kind of support the story of whatever I'm telling him. And so this past Sunday, this is a big deal because before he did not like me playing the piano in the house because it was too loud for him. And he could feel it, I think. It wasn't just hearing it, like his body could feel it. And so I said, is it okay if I play my piano today? And he says, yes. And I will get an instrument too. And he went over and he grabbed his acoustic guitar. He goes, is my acoustic guitar okay? I said, sure.
Yeah.
So he came over and he was trying to play with me and we were playing a Bible song.
Music therapy paying off.
Yeah, right? And so you got him a new thing for his guitar this week so that he can now play chords and actually be playing in tune with me. So we're going to try it tomorrow on Sunday. But I'm so excited because I want to build that in. I noticed when he was at church before with buddies, one of his favorite things that always kept his attention was Ollie the owl. And it was a cartoon version, but they also had the stuffed animal of Ollie, which he actually has because Miss Debbie got it for him. So I'm going to bring Ollie out tomorrow to tell the Bible story and use an Ollie voice. And he responds really well, I think, to puppets. He really hasn't seen a full-on puppet show, but when you and I used to teach the little Awanas, and the little cubbies that were 3 and 4 years old and 5, they loved the puppet show.
They loved the puppet show.
They could see your head over the thing and they say, I see you, Mr. Chris. But, but yet they knew it was you, but they loved it when we would do the voices and stuff. So I know Bryce will really respond well to that. So I've ordered some Bible stories that are based on puppets. And then once I get that material, I'm going to read it. And then I'll kind of visualize what puppets I want to go with that. But like right now, if we even pick up his Mickey Mouse and you do a great Mickey Mouse voice and you start talking like Mickey, he is so in. And he wants Mickey to talk the whole time. So I know that that's what's going to keep him tuned in to listen to the words because he likes funny voices. Just like you were saying earlier, how you talked in the tummy voice about the U-turn and stuff. He so responds to that. So that's how I want to present the story to him, is in a funny voice like that, more animated, and then bring in the stories and then, find other ways to also build that in. So I'm very excited about it. It's something that, again, I will want to share once I know. But if any of you are listening and you have any ideas for that, like you've already created the wheel a little bit, I would love for you to share. I also would love to hear from you if it's a need for you, because I would like to know if I'm on the right track here, that that's something that other parents are interested in.
And speaking of reaching out to us, I want to let everybody know that our contest or our giveaway is still going on for March. And all you have to do is send us an email to parentingautism@att.net and just give us a little story about your situation, and we'll enter you into that contest for our Patience Please t-shirt.
Yeah, we've had some come in this week, so we'd love to have some more. It's only March 6th.
And then I want to share the story about the siren that came on this week. So we have a nuclear power plant that's close by to us, and they have sirens that go off every few months. And I don't think Bryce has taken notice yet, so we get a call from the alert system, and he's like, what's that? And they were leaving us a message, and it said, we're going to be testing the sirens today at noon, blah blah blah. I was like, great, okay, so I can prep him before the siren goes off. And he's like, oh, what's that about? So I explained about what the siren's for and that they're going to say this is a test. So we're kind of in the middle of homeschool, and the test starts, and you hear the voice talking over all the speakers. And we went outside, and if you didn't know what that was about, I mean, it would be pretty freaky. I just want to say that, because you're outside, and it sounds like there's a voice, like coming from the sky. Really.
You could think it was God.
Right? It says, this is a test. This is only a test. And it makes a sound. And then it comes back, this is a test. And Bryce is like looking around. Where's that coming from? Where's that coming from? I said, there's a speaker. And where's the speaker? Where's the speaker? You know, and on top of a pole. Where's the pole? Where's the pole?
That's what I mean. He wants to learn now. So, everything.
I mean, I was just standing there thinking, and then the siren goes off. Woo, you know, and if I didn't understand that, I would totally be freaking out, right?
Yeah.
And so fortunately, they gave me enough prep time to where I could tell them about it. And then after the siren went off, we knew from the message that it will not go off again until June, which is 3 months. So, you know, we had to go back. When's it going to go off again? June. Okay. And I told him, I said, we can go for a walk and walk around and look for one of those speakers, because he was very curious about where that was coming from. So I thought, well, if we could find one and I could show him, that would be just terrific. So we took a walk around the block. We couldn't find one, but we got a walk in. And
That's good.
So then we got in the truck and we were driving around. I'm like, gosh, we got to find one. And then on the way back home, we happened to stumble across one. I'm like, Bryce, there it is. So you can post the pictures on the Parenting Autism Facebook page if you want. So we pulled over and I was like, there it is. I said, do you want to get out and see it? Yes. So he gets out of the truck and he's checking it out. I said, okay. I said, well, I'll take a picture of it for you. Is that okay? And he's like, yeah, take a picture. So I zoomed up on the speaker part on top of the pole and took that picture. I said, now I want to take a picture of you standing in front of it, you know, and pointing at it. So I did that. And then we read the sign that said warning, loud siren, whatever it was, that explained what it was. And so he was very excited. I mean, super excited that we found the speaker.
Yeah.
And and he wanted to go see it again today, but we forgot. But yeah, I was able to explain that whole thing to him. And now if it happens again, he'll know what that's all about, you know? So yeah.
I was just saying he'll remember at 10 o'clock tonight that.
Oh, right. And then we'll have to go look for it. Yeah, no.
Well, that's great. I think we told Bryce we would bring him in to wrap this up today.
Okay.
Because he likes to talk to the people.
And we'll ask him about the fair, maybe?
Yeah, I don't know how he'll do. I mean, we were trying to recap the fair for my parents earlier today when we went to go visit them for their anniversary. So no promises, but let's see how he does. He always likes to come in here.
Let me go grab him.
Okay, go get him.
All right, everybody. We have Bryce here. Hi, Bryce.
I'm good.
Well, first you say hi.
Oops.
What was that?
A burp.
What do you say after you burp?
Excuse me.
There you go. How are you?
I'm good.
Good. What do you want to talk about?
Fair.
You want to talk about the fair? Well, tell us about the fair. What happened?
The rides are special.
Oh, they're special?
Nice.
And what rides did you go on?
I went on a roller coaster.
Oh, was that really fun?
Yes.
What other ride did you do?
I did the guitar.
Oh,
yeah.
That went way high up in the sky, didn't it?
How high were you up in the sky? How far do you think that was?
I was up this high.
Oh, that's so high.
Wow, yeah, that's high.
How many feet? Give me a number.
12,000 feet.
There you go. That is high in the sky.
And did you play a game at the fair?
Yes.
What did you do?
A hammer game.
A hammer
you
game. What did you
did.
do with the hammer?
I banged.
You banged it on the thing? And then what happened?
And what did the man say?
Winner!
Winner!
Collect your prize.
That's right.
And what did you get for a prize?
A car.
No, for real. What did you
No.
get?
What did you get for a prize?
A ball.
Yeah.
Big red bouncy ball.
That was fun. Super fun.
Okay, is there anything else you want to tell the people?
My Ferrari.
Oh, yeah, you did. You got
yeah.
your Ferrari on the PlayStation today. Mm-hmm. Tell them what color.
What color is this? Red.
Yeah.
And why did you pick red?
Because that's my favorite color.
Awesome. Okay. Is there anything else you want to tell them before we go?
Oh, tell them what happened with your tummy.
Oh.
Something happened. There was gas inside, and I go blah.
Yeah. No, it's not good, was it?
Oh, yeah, no. Like what do you say? Okay, all right.
We won't
reenact That's what it sounds like.
It did. You're right.
All right. Thanks, Bryce.
Okay. Well, we're going to talk us out. Tell them to have a great week.
Have a good week.
And we'll talk to you soon.
I will talk to you too soon.
Bye.
Bye, people.